my family. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon.
Okay. Waiting for people's cameras to warm up.
Yes. How's everything?
Excellent. Excellent day.
Awesome. Hello, hello.
We got the gang. We got the team back together.
All right, here we go.
Oh. Cadence, Ma, how you doing? Layla's dad.
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
How's Layla? Busy. How's Kaden?
Oh, I gotta go. What you got?
I'll give it about 1 more minute and then we'll get started.
Where's your chair, Layla? I'm sorry. I'm sitting in your chair. What do you want to watch? I don't know if I have this. It is. Let your hair like that. Like, let your leave your hair like that.
Okay.
What you doing? Typing this out, writing this out. You so happy. Come on, Leslie.
Oh, buddy.
Okay. Come on, Boo. Come on. Come on, Monster. You want to send on miraculous for you, Leslie?
Yes.
Okay, come on, let's do it. I need your help.
Can you all hear and see me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll get started. I'm waiting on 4 other people. It says that they're unavailable, so I'm not sure. And a couple of them are in the yellow, which means they are available. Maybe they don't hear the phone. But anyway, as you know, I'm Michelle Borden. I have a behavioral and developmental delay company that I call Prodigy Therapy. The name originated just from seeing the need that was out there for our children that learn differently, I like to call them. And I wanted to label it something that was more inspiring than what they were used to hearing or being treated. And so that's where the name originated from, Prodigy. And then, of course, therapy is what I provide. I've been doing this for 25 years, 10 years in special education. I have a bachelor's science degree in psychology and child development. But the areas that I focus on are behavioral services and, as I stated, developmental delays. And this is in applied behavior analysis, or ABA. What I do, I incorporate my years of education with the behavioral services because I feel like those components serve each other well. For me, they're one and the same. You can't teach if there's behavioral issues, and you can't, if there's behavioral issues, it limits the child's productivity, and it makes them frustrated because they don't understand. So I like to incorporate those. However, I've also just strictly done ABA, and I've also just done tutorial or education, as I stated, my 25 years of experience. So I've also been IEP facilitator, so I'm familiar with the IEP process, the 504 process, and what that all entails. I do conduct FBAs, and I'm also a consultant for parents, and so I'm more of a child advocate that provides services, because for me, children always come first, and I always want to know what's in the best interest of the child. How can we better serve the child? That's always my start goal and my end goal. And I'm just simply trying to provide some hope, some inspiration, alleviate any anxiety or anxiousness with providing this virtual discussion group. So I don't know everything, but what I do know, of course I do know, and I just want to present it to you all in hopes that it kind of opens the door to some better learning, some better understanding, how we can teach our children how to learn through the screen, and also address the elephant in the room, which is the COVID-19. And don't leave it as though it doesn't exist, because the children know that something's happening. It's just better to be direct and come from a place where you're comfortable addressing what's going on with the pandemic, and come from a place where you feel they can understand it without inserting any fear into them or any misplaced anxiety that they may be experiencing. Don't exacerbate the emotional issues that some children internalize, some children act out through behavior, and some children just simply don't know how to address it. And so it's our job as the parent, and for me as the educator, to just kind of open that doorway and keep the conversation going. Even though we're home and we're learning, and this is something new and different for us, we want to keep the conversations going with our children. We don't want them to shut down and be confused and feel as though they've done something to earn them being at home learning versus being at school. Are there any questions about all of that I have said? All right, well, let me share the presentation and get started. So thank you so much for joining me, and welcome to Prodigy Therapy Presents Preparing Parents for Pandemic Learning Virtual Discussion Group. One of the things I did want to address, and this is just some things that I've noticed through my teaching, through my online teaching, through observance, is the location for the school. If you have the space, just to give your child some authority or feel as though they have say-so in their education, allow them to decide where they want to learn. Allow them to have their own assigned seat, if you will. I found that in my years of teaching, it's actually very productive if the students come in and we as teachers allow them to choose their assigned seating versus telling them what to do. They feel as though they are valued and that they have some say-so in their own learning environment. And until, in the classroom, it would get a little too disruptive because they might be sitting with their friends, then you would rearrange the seating, but at least allow for the opportunity. So I would say that as well as in the home, allow for the opportunity for your child to choose where they want to learn from. But it should be nothing around them should be a distraction. So there should be no mirrors, no toys. It shouldn't be an area that's highly frequented with back and forth walking. For example, if it's in the kitchen, maybe have their backs to the kitchen refrigerator, or just someplace where they're not constantly looking up or looking around, but they can stay focused and engaged while learning on the screen. Because in the home, as well as in the school, there are multiple distractions. But because the time is so limited, from what I understand, K through second is going to be on the computer for 2 hours, and 3 through 5 will be on the computer for 3 hours. So because everything is truncated, you really want to make sure that they stay engaged while they're on the computer, because those 2 hours for us will go fast. For them, it'll be like never ending. But for us, it will go fast. And we know that. So once it's gone, it's gone. So as much information as they can receive while sitting there, That's the whole purpose. And it won't be easy. You know, there's always restroom breaks, or I want a snack, or, and you know, even though they're learning from home and this is considered homeschooling, still allow for some flexibility. Of course, don't allow them to abuse it, but don't be so stringent and just making them stay there. Because even in school, when they raise their hand and they get fidgety and they want to go and get a drink of water, sometimes they don't want to get a drink of water. Sometimes they just need to stretch. They just need to remove themselves from the environment and just decompress for a second and then come back. And so that's understandable. So I would say always allow flexibility in that area. Also, too, for me, I use my area where I'm at just for teaching, just for providing information to students, to parents, to my colleagues. So this for me is my work area. If I were going to school, this would be my school, because I only use this computer in this area just for learning, just for that. I have, you know, other computer, other area where I feel like I need to detach from, so I don't mix and mingle my work area with my leisure area. However, if that flexibility is not there, then I would suggest you don't call that space school. So if it's interchangeable, if they use it for YouTube, or they use it for games, or they use it for Skyping, don't call that area school, because that can be confusing. I would just simply call it a workstation or a learning area, but definitely not school. If it's not utilized for just that specific area of learning, for that academia. Also, I would suggest, and I'll just say that this is a suggestion, that children don't learn throughout all the house, because they need to have one location where they learn. The learning is going to be more effective for them if they're not someplace where they kind of can do what they want. They can be laid back. They can be sitting in their pajamas. They can be under the covers, or if they're outside, there's so much going on outside. So ideally, a table and chair is preferred, or an exercise ball. Sometimes we use those just for posture, but also for our students that learn different. It's just something that is more relaxing for them mentally. So even a ball is fine. Or even if you have a coffee table and they want to sit on the floor and just sit on top of a pillow, that's fine too. But I would strongly suggest having a table. They need that structure, that on this we learn, we write, we have our materials, we have our books, our workbooks, and here is where we learn. The chair, the sitting can be flexible, but definitely have a hard space, a table for them to write on. And just make sure that you remind them that this is where we learn. This is where we go to school. This isn't school. Again, if it's not that one specific area where you just strictly focus on academics, this isn't school, but this is where we learn, just like we would learn if we were in the school. Any questions on the location? Awesome. And your role. What is your role as the parent? So I know that this is not you all's first time exposing your children to the online learning, so I won't belabor that issue. However, for some of us, we are going to have to assist our children in this learning process. And so I gave it the title that it would ordinarily have in the school system, and that is a teacher's assistant or a teacher's aide. And that's what you do. You are going to assist the teacher through the screen and assist your child through homeschool learning. Assisting the teacher through the screen will consist of making sure that your child is attentive, that they're paying attention, that they are on task. And I'll go to the next slide because I actually delve into it a little bit more. Again, they're on task. They make sure that the teacher's assistant or the teacher's aide makes sure that the child has all the writing utensils that they need, all of the clean sheet of notebook paper or scissors or sharpened pencil, everything that they would need to start the day. The teacher's assistant or the teacher's aide makes sure that that child has all of that to start the day. Now, when it comes to assisting the teacher, again, they make sure that the child is on task, that the child is not playing with their neighbor or finding something to fiddle with that contributes to them being distracted. So, for example, if the teacher said, I need you to go get your Excel workbook and turn to page 8, and your child is just sitting there, as the teacher's assistant and the teacher's aide, you would say, hey, Johnny, did you hear what Miss Brown said? Where's your Excel book? All right, pick it up. What page did they say turn to? Okay, I need you to stay focused. They said turn to page 8. Okay, what is the next step? You don't know because she didn't give one. So now we have our book. We turn to page 8. Let's sit here and wait for the next instruction. And so that's what a teacher's assistant and a teacher's aide would do. Just making sure that they stay on task and that they are ready for the next instruction. Because we don't want them to lose any of the academic skills that have already been built upon, I would say with minimal to little to no assistance or prompting, because in school we are not constantly on them. We are not doing that. As parents, of course we are, but we're not functioning as the parent. We're functioning as the teacher's assistant, the teacher's aide. And so we need to create that separation, but also keep that school balance, that you know what is expected of you when you are at school. Mommy and daddy will always be on you. But here at school, we give you some independence because we're trying to teach you and to train you how to be self-sufficient. So don't break that. Don't break that balance. Don't intertwine those two. Give it simple, direct instruction and leave it at that. Again, you're just keeping your child on task. And as I stated, do not do the work for them. Don't get their pencil for them. Don't get their book for them. If they need a new pencil and it's not right there, then maybe I would say go and get that for them because you don't want them to leave from the screen. But if it's maybe 2 arm lengths away from them, a pencil or a book, they can do that. I wouldn't get up and get that for them. In school, we would say, what do you need? My pencil broke. What are you supposed to do? Get another one or sharpen it. Exactly. We wouldn't get up and go do it for them. So I want that same behavior to be at home. What we wouldn't do at school, we don't do at home while we're learning during school time. Outside of school time, you know, that's mommy, that's daddy, that's grandma, that's whomever. But during school time, our hats say teacher's assistant or teacher's aide, and we function just as our title. We don't deviate from that. And again, we are building on the skills that where the foundation has already been laid of being self-sufficient, because at the end of the day, that's what we want our children to be as they become adults, self-sufficient. So for us to deviate from that now blurs the line, and it takes away some of our authority, because sometimes they don't listen to us as mom and dad, I'll be honest with you. But if I'm in the mode of I'm your teacher's assistant, I'm just helping you, then they look at us a little different, and it's like, oh, so I'm going to have to do this myself. Yes, you are. The same way you would at school, it's the same way you're going to do it here. Any questions on that? So I would definitely say keep the boundaries, create the parameters, but maintain the schedule. And we'll get a little bit more into that. If you have an independent learner, a child who does well learning on their own, they don't require a lot of instruction, they don't require a lot of prompting, they just kind of need you to just check in on them from time to time, I would say leave them alone. because that's what they do in school. The teacher can give an assignment and they can sit there and do it. The teacher's not hovering over them. The teacher's not micromanaging whether or not they're working, because that teacher knows this child does well once I give instruction. So keep that same behavior. And we should know that, having sat through all the parent conferences and honestly knowing our own child, we will know whether or not our child is an independent learner or if our child needs us to be a teacher's assistant or a teacher's aide to them. We'll definitely know that. And once you leave them alone, just check on them from time to time periodically. But remember, reconvene when school, quote unquote, is over. Take that same approach. You know, it should be, when you check on them, it should be appropriate, it should be quiet, and it should be less distraction. So, or distracting, I should say. So sometimes when I check on my oldest child, I give a thumbs up. And I kind of, you know, give a little wink, like thumbs up, wink. Hey, you good? I don't say it, but the expression on my face says that. And then they just give a little thumbs up back. That was it. That's all they needed. They're focused. I didn't take them out of their moment, but they know that I'm here if you need me. For home stuff, I'm here. Now, when it comes to school, you should have all that together prior to you even starting school, but we'll get to that. But if you need anything home-wise, hey, I'm here. You're doing a good job. I'm going back to work. Also, because of the pre-pandemic times and the post-pandemic times, things are very different. So our behavior needs to be consistent. Even though the times are different, the behavior needs to remain the same. So I would say don't alter your behavior, because that could create an alter or alteration with your child's behavior that could potentially create regression. And a lot of times this is why children go to summer school, because it was encouraged upon them that the potential for regression exists. And we want to keep that learning going. We want to continue to build on what we have already established. And if we change our behavior while they're learning at home, while they're going to school at home, this, when we return to school, could create a separation anxiety, because they've become so consistent and codependent on us doing everything for them because they were learning at home, that now that post-pandemic times have taken over, we've come out of the pandemic, there'll still be more precautions because things will never be the same. They have become attached to the behavior that we established during the pandemic times. And that is a regression, and that we don't want. We still want our children to be independent learners, self-sufficient when we come out of this pandemic, and we will come out. We want them to remain attentive and engaged. We don't want them to think that the teacher's aide at school will be just like mommy. That's not going to happen. And that's going to be too much strain for the child to have to readjust to the function and the behavior of the school. We don't want that. When we come out of the pandemic, that in and of itself is going to create an unknown for them, because nothing will be the same. So we don't want to create and add on to what they're already going to have to experience now and when we come out of the pandemic. And I would just say, for all learning styles, encourage your child to ask questions. Encourage them to ask the teacher. I remember one day I sat in on my child. I just wanted to see what they were doing, how they were doing it, what my child was doing, and how attentive they were. I wanted to just see how the flow was of everything. And my eldest turned to me and asked me a question that pertained to school. And I was like, why are you asking me? Like, because I'm not there. I don't go to school with you. So I don't want you to be comfortable with asking me school-like questions when you're sitting in school. It may be a different setting, but the connotation is still the same. And so I said to them, ask the teacher. And they were like, what? And I'm like, oh no. I said, this is still the same behavior. You're not in school but you're learning the same thing that you would learn if you were in school. So I'm just here observing, but I'm not here to do anything more than that because they are an independent learner, but I just wanted to see for myself. And so I encouraged them, ask the teacher a question, and it was so foreign to them. This independent learner it was so foreign for them to ask a question through the screen. And I mean, their voice was so low. They're not a low talker, but they were so quiet in asking a question. And I said, no, you got to speak up. The teacher cannot hear you. You got to speak up just like you would if you were in school. And today, the child is always asking questions. Oh, I know. Oh, I don't know. So I had to establish a routine, a behavior of it's still the same. I know it's different. Trust me. Quote unquote, mommy knows. But everything is still the same. You're just doing it differently. You're just doing it from home. It's still the same. And then when there's time, when it's permitted, encourage that dialogue, that classroom dialogue, that conversation, because they miss each other. And they miss that interaction, that touch, that laughter. They miss all of it. And what we can provide is at least a conversation for them. So the teacher says, hey, this is break time. You guys have 5 minutes. If everyone's not away from the computer, have a conversation with Sally. Hey, Sally, how's it going? Just don't sit there and just look at each other. Talk to one another. It's okay to do that. This is the appropriate time to do so. When it's appropriate and when it's permitted, encourage them to just have conversation. Hey, what did you do yesterday? Oh, yeah? What are you going to eat for lunch? Oh, guess what I did? I have a pool in my backyard. I went swimming yesterday. Anything that they talk about is better than nothing because they miss that engagement. And what we can give them, let's just give it to them. You may not be able to touch one another, but if you can see their face, have a conversation with them. If you can pick up the phone, have a conversation with them. So my oldest child is always calling everybody. And I have to sometimes say, hey, no, don't call them today. Because like you just called them 4 times yesterday. Give it a break. But I know they missed that. But it's also good for the soul. It's good for the learning. So I would just encourage you to encourage them to participate in class, ask questions, and when it's appropriate, have a conversation. Even converse with the teacher if they are there and, they're not trying to get set up for the next subject. Encourage them to have a conversation with the teacher. They love our children. And as a teacher myself, I miss the kids. I miss being able to give them a hug. I miss when I see them, I'm like, oh, I missed your face. And they smile like, really? Like, yeah, I missed your face. I miss seeing you in the morning. I miss you saying, hey, Miss Nichelle, so-and-so did such and such. Any other day you'd be like, oh my God, why are they always doing this? But you know what? You take those things for granted. And I miss it. I honestly do. So at the start of the day, encourage your child to participate. For me, I say to my eldest, I'm listening. And they're like, what? Like, yeah, I'm listening to hear you participate. Because if I hear you participating, I will give you the good humor strawberry shortcake that I know you like to eat for dessert. Like, oh, really? Oh, I get a strawberry shortcake? Yes, but I have to hear you participating. And you'll be surprised. I'll come to the step and I will just hear, I know, can I try? I'll read. I hear so much engagement and so much excitement. And it's an immediate reinforcement. It's an immediate reward. It's something that they can be gratified with immediately. It's not a long term on Friday and it's Monday. We can go for a walk to the park and to the playground, and then we'll swing by 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee. Like, that sounds great, but for me to remember that and then remain participating and engaged from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday, that seems like forever. And again, this is a new process. So anything that you can give them that's immediate, I would suggest that you do that. Then you can work to extended periods of reward. On Wednesday, I'll give you a reward if it's Monday, you know, something like that. But starting out right now, you want to build upon that engagement. You want to create active listening within them. So you can't participate if you're not listening. It's not going to make sense. And you don't want to embarrass yourself because you're of age now where, you know, I don't really like to be wrong, but it's okay to be wrong as long as you try. So create that active listening for them. Help them to be engaged by giving them immediate rewards. Again, the independent learner, if you leave, when you leave them alone, I like to say that I'm going to work now, because I'm going to work now. I got you situated. Now it's time for me to go ahead and earn my keep. And this creates that balance for them. This is their normalcy. When we drop them off at school, where do we go? We go to work. So it helps them to be reminded that though I'm not physically in school, I am learning, and I'm learning school academics. And so I'm here and mom is working. I'm here and dad is working. I'm here and auntie is working. Everyone is doing something, but everyone is doing what they would normally do if I were in school. And again, continue to just check on them. Give them a smile, a thumbs up, a wink, whatever it is, as long as it's not distracting, it's quiet, that's perfect. Whatever works for your family. Also, let us just be mindful that this is a mental adjustment for our children. This is a mental adjustment for their learning. And so even having attended some online classes over the summer, this is still going to be an adjustment for them because they're in a new grade. Okay, some children are in a new school. So they're going to be in a whole new setting with a whole new group of faces, teacher and students, teacher and peers. Okay, on top of having to learn from home what they would have been learning in school. And they're not even able to see some of their old friends. Their best friend might be in another teacher's class. So now they have to adjust to that. At least sometime they could have seen them in the hallway or at playground or at lunch. But now their best friend, they don't get to see them at all because they're in a different class. So this is still going to be an adjustment for them, regardless of how much online learning they've already done. It's going to be a process for them. They went from going to school every day to learning from home abruptly. And now all of a sudden, when they go outside, they have to go outside with a mask on their face. Like, that is so foreign, even for me, to process for them. How do you go as a child from being in school one day to being at home since March, which it's almost been 6 months of being home? Then all of a sudden, your parents are like, oh, you have to put a mask on now before we go outside. Like, to process that and not even having the conversation yet. Like, some kids haven't even had the conversation of coronavirus, COVID-19, learning from home again, still. All of this is just so overwhelming. It can be so overwhelming for a child. We have to be mindful of the psychological challenges that come with all of this. And if you have, even for the best of parents or the best of students, this is still a lot to take on. You still have parents out there who have children that have skipped grades that are feeling like, what do I do? How do I do it? What is going on? And they're not receiving any communication or little communication, but it doesn't satisfy their anxiety. It doesn't ease the stress that they feel, on top of what is my work condition going to be like. Some parents aren't able to telework. So that in and of itself creates so much anxiety, so much stress, and we don't want to push that off on our children. We want to do whatever we can to keep their life normal with a mask on our face, with a mask on their face. It's unbelievable. So I would say explain to your child on a level, again, that is most comfortable for you, that is most comfortable for them, why we are still in this predicament, why we are still learning from home, and this is a new school year with a new teacher and new peers and a new setting as far as the teacher now teaching from their home. We've seen our previous teacher's home. Now we have to see another teacher's home. So I would just say explain to them on that level. For some kindergartners, I would not overwhelm them, not go too deep, but simply say the school isn't clean. Oh, mommy, the school isn't clean? No, not yet. We have to stay home until they clean the school. Like, that gives them a little foundation. It eases the anxiety of the unknown with them that, okay, now, granted, they might come back a week or two or a month later and say, is the school still not clean? Well, we know we'll be in this till 2021. So, it's like, no, the school is still not clean, but you're doing such a great job learning on the computer. I love what you do. So, change the subject. Answer the question, but change the subject to something more positive. Also, maybe just say, people are not feeling well. Now, if you want to go global and say all over the world, or you want to keep it at home nationally and say in the United States, or you don't want to address it at all and just say people are not feeling well. Well, why are people sick? Well, there's just a little virus that's making people sick. Well, what's a virus? Well, it's just something that makes people sick. But we are okay. Encourage them that they're okay, that they won't have the virus and everything will be all right. But it takes it up just another little level. Beyond school not being clean, people are sick. And for the older children that can really understand, that listen to our conversations and listen to the news that we watch, hey, there's a virus called COVID-19 or coronavirus that's making people very sick. It's like, okay, well, what's COVID-19? What's coronavirus? Well, let's go to Google. Let's not just, talk about what we heard it is. Let's just go to Google and see what it's really about. And then limit that exposure. I wouldn't take it to the morbidity of it all with, people are dying from the coronavirus, even though they are. I just think that's just a little bit too much weight for them to carry. But definitely explain the coronavirus, explain the COVID-19 making people sick, and just kind of touch on it a little bit more as far as definition, and leave it at that. I would definitely not touch the death part. I think that's just a little bit too much too soon. And again, we are doing this because a lot of kids don't know what to ask or how to ask it. But what we don't want to do is alter anything. This is how we could broach the subject. And again, we're still reiterating that we're still learning. We're still going to school. We are just doing it from home for now. We will be back in school when the school is clean, when people are not sick, when the COVID-19 or coronavirus is gone. We will be back in school. But for right now, this is where we go to school at. Right here in our home, right here in our learning space, work area, or this school-like place right here. And again, in these post-pandemic circumstances, this for me is very important. And it runs deep for me because a lot of times my kids would come to school and they would not be in the best of mood. And this is pre-pandemic time. They would not be in the best of mood. And a lot of kids, I'll just share a little bit. A lot of my kids didn't have the best home environment. And they grew up with a lot of hollering and screaming at them. A lot of negative talking down to them, talking bad about them. And so that's why my heart is so extended to the children, because they didn't ask to be here. But we need to equip them so that they can do better and be better. And I'm just very sensitive about my children. And I call them my kids because they are. I'm very sensitive about my kids. So I would say when you wake them up in the morning, wake them with some peace. Wake them with some love and some joy. Don't, hey, get up. It's time to get up and go to school. Like, kids get that, believe it or not. They get waking up like that. And imagine your husband or your spouse or your boyfriend or even your own child coming to you saying, "Ma, get up. I need some cereal." Or your husband talking to you like that. That, waking up like that, nobody's going to be in a good mood. Okay? Nobody. So don't set your child up like that. Wake them up, rub them on the back, speak in a nice soft tone, with a little joy in your voice, because they're going to learn from home. They already don't want to do it. So, hey, Sally, rub her back. It's time to wake up. It's time to go to school. Remind them you're going to school. Okay? I'm not waking you up just to be waking you up. I'm not waking you up to say, go sit in front of the computer. No, we're going to school. We are going to learn. So with a soft, pleasant, peaceful, joyous voice, Sally, wake up. It's time to go to school. Okay, come on. And do everything that you would normally do if you were physically leaving the house. Make sure that they brush their teeth, they wash their face, they put on some clothes, even if they want to wear their uniform or put on some play clothes. Take them out of the clothes that they sleep in. Take them out of the pajamas. Okay? That is a mindset of, forgive me, but it is. That is a mindset of lazy learning. Okay? We are not creating or establishing learning lazily. We're not lazy in our learning. So let's take off last night's clothes. Let's take off yesterday. And let's put on something fresh for a new day. Let's put on something fresh for today. So even if it's play clothes, doesn't have, whatever they want to wear. Even if they don't match, if it's long sleeves or 90 degrees, like, it's fine as long as they don't get overheated. But no pajamas going to school. We don't do that unless it's a spirit week or a spirit day where they say, it's pajama day. Every child can wear their pajamas to school. That's the only time that is appropriate. If we wouldn't do it at school, let us not do it at home, okay? Also, make sure if they want to eat breakfast, that they've eaten breakfast. I don't have any people in my home that really like to eat breakfast, but I do offer it just in case. It might be that one day where they say, "Oh, you didn't offer me any breakfast." Well, you don't normally eat it. Well, I wanted to eat it today. Like, I'm not trying to go through all that. So I just offer it. If it's a breakfast bar or a bowl of cereal, do you want oatmeal? Even some drink. Do you want some water? You want some milk? You want some orange juice? You good? You don't want nothing? Okay, perfect. And while they're doing all of that, and also too, before I jump there, comb their hair. Don't just leave their hair in yesterday, but they have on fresh clothes for today. Comb their hair. That teaches them to continue to take pride in themselves. If you wouldn't go to school look like that, then let's not go to school on the screen. Let's not go to school virtually like that also. And then while they're doing all that, make sure that their workspace is prepared and ready for them to learn. They have their pencils, they have their scissors, whatever they need. They have their workbook. Whatever it is they need, let's just make sure that their space is ready to learn. None of our stuff, if we share a space, like a dining room table or a kitchen table, make sure that all of our stuff is not in their way of learning. Just make sure that the area is cleaned and wiped down so that, when they put a piece of paper on the table, that it's not sticking and it doesn't have a juice stain or whatever from the night before there. Just make sure that it's clean, it's appropriate, and ready to learn. Because it's all a mindset and it's all a conditioning. And it's all about keeping everything balanced. Even if they eat breakfast in the classroom, they still wipe their desk down when they're done. So we need to keep that same behavior. But don't make them do it, because they already have a lot to do. There's some things that we can do and should do for them. And I think making sure that their work area is clean is something that we can do for them. And also, again, everything the same, just as if you were physically leaving the house. Even remind them the night before. You have school tomorrow, right? It's like, huh? Like, oh yeah, you're going to get on that computer and go learn, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure. Again, when you wake them up in the morning, it's time to go to school. It's time to learn. So continue to reinforce that, because that helps them also to stay focused and stay engaged, because it's a conditioning. As long as you continue to hear something, you'll believe it. You'll receive it. It's just as if you say something negative to a child. If you tell them they're no good, guess what they're going to start to believe and receive? They're no good. So let's speak positive words and let's speak truth to them. This is school. This is you learning online. It's not the physical building, but they're taking attendance. You are learning through this screen. So everything is still the same. Again, it's just from home. So remind them the night before. You going to school tomorrow, right? Yes, okay. When they get up in the morning, hey, it's time to get up, baby. It's time for school. Okay. Even have a wake-up time and a bedtime for them. If, I don't know what time they have us starting, but if they have the kids starting at 9 for primary school age children, then wake them up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. It's not really going to take them that long, but you want them to at least not get to the screen and look like they still have sleep, like they just woke up at 8:30. Because even I would still be kind of half asleep with having to prepare myself and then go sit in front of the screen in 30 minutes. Like, that's a bit much. But have a wake-up time for them and a bedtime. It also gives us as parents a break. So I'm thinking about going back to 7 o'clock being bedtime. That's early. It's still light outside. Maybe. For me, in my house, anywhere between 7 and 9. That's going to be their bedtime. We haven't decided on exactly what the time is, but it won't go past 9. Somewhere between 7 and 9, that's going to be the bedtime. And because you don't have to leave, we don't need to be allotted, all that extra time. So that's why I was saying between 7 and 9. We haven't decided, but the wake up time is going to be, if the school starts at 9, our wake up time will be 7:45. We give you 15 minutes to just kind of get yourself together, and by 8 o'clock you should be up and out that bed, brushing your teeth, washing your face, doing all that good stuff, making your bed, keeping the same routine that we would as if we were physically leaving. When you finish all that, let me comb your hair. Make sure that, you got all your little eye boogers out, your little sleep out, coals out of your eye. Now, okay, do you want some breakfast? No? Yes? Whatever. All right, now, let's go to school. There's one location for school. When I say, let's go to school, you know exactly where to go. There's no let's go to school, and they go sit on the couch. There's no let's go to school and they go sit on the bed. There's no let's go to school and they go outside. Now that's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They have been in 3 different places. Absolutely not. When I say let's go to school, it's in one location in one area, and they should know exactly where to go. That's it. Again, let's talk about homework. So if they're online, even if it's 2 hours, 3 hours, for me, they need to detach. They need to just come down off the computer for a moment. So I would give them an hour break. No electronics, because they've been sitting on the computer all day. Don't go from sitting online in front of the computer screen to playing Nintendo or playing the little Nintendo hand tablet thing that they have, or even a tablet, or even an iPhone. Like, no. Detach from everything that's electronic. Give your brain a rest. Because again, they'll be doing this every day. It's only August. We will be in this come 2021. So we have to establish some downtime, some no screen time. Nothing with the screen. So no electronics, giving them an hour break. Well, what am I going to do? Whatever you want to do. You need to relax. Your brain needs to just have a moment of nothing with a screen on it. And tell them, your brain needs a moment of nothing with a screen on it. You've been on the screen for 2 hours. You've been on the screen for 3 hours. Oh, but that wasn't what I want to do. It's fine. Just give your brain a break. It's not for you. It's for your brain. Your brain needs a break. Okay, I don't know what to do. It doesn't matter. Because in an hour, we're going to start your homework. It's like, oh, now I can find something to do. You said we're going to do something after this. I can find something to do. When that hour is up, It's time for homework. We go over the homework just like we would any other day. Then after homework is done, now you can have your own downtime. Now you can have some screen time, whatever it is you want to do prior to dinner, bath, and bed, because you're going to bed at such and such a time. But remember, you get that strawberry shortcake after dinner, because I heard you participating in Miss Brown's class and I loved it. That's how I want you to be every day, okay? So good job doing your homework and good job participating. After dinner, I'll get you that strawberry ice cream bar. So now they're like, oh yeah, like, oh, this was the best day ever. I did this and did this and did this. Now I can go and do this. And then after that, I get my reward. Now you're building upon consistency and you're reinforcing that same academic behavior that they once had at school that we're now just transferring to the home setting. And if they don't have any homework, I would still say engage them. Ask them, even if you were sitting there with them, ask them, what subject do you want to talk about? Because you don't have any homework. So I want to know how this went for you. Okay, well, I'll talk about reading. All right, well, what did you do in reading today? What did you learn? Tell me something about it. So that reinforces and creates retention in their brain. It makes them have to remember something. Because being honest with you, I daydream. So knowing that I will have questions asked of me about what I learned in whatever subject I choose will make me pay more attention. And if I don't have any homework, I can guarantee that's going to happen. So they may have become disengaged. It happens. They're at home. But create that retention, that memory. Work those memory muscles in their brain to remember things that happened within the classroom, what they learned, what the teacher said. Even if somebody asked a question, hey, so-and-so asked a question about such and such, and what did the teacher say? Okay, see, that sounds about right. Okay, make sure you ask questions too. Make sure you participate as well. Don't forget, I'm listening, okay? So we just have 2 more slides, and then we'll be done. There we go. The organized parent. Now, for this one, I'm going to come off my screen in just a minute and share some examples of what I mean about what I'm getting ready to go through. So this is very true. The organized parent is a prepared parent. The organized parent has an organized learner. If everything is in disarray, guess what your child's going to be? In disarray, because we are not taking their learning seriously. And if we don't take it seriously, how can we expect them to? So be organized. So I have some examples here of how you can be organized for your child. If you have a coffee mug, just put all their pencils in there, their glue sticks, their scissors. These are items that you would have lying around your home. This is also something that you can do that's creative with your child. If you're an arts and crafts type of person, and a tissue box, you can color it, you can dress it up, you can bedazzle it, you can do whatever you want with it, and then you can just put all the same things in there. Pencils, scissors, glue sticks, whatever needs to be in there, markers, crayons. And this is something else that you would have within your home that is inexpensive, that you can use to help keep you and the child organized so that they are not all over the house looking for a pencil, looking for the marker. What happened to the scissors? Everything is in one location where they learn. And here's something else. I'm coming off screen. So I ordered some cookies. No plug on these people. But I ordered some cookies. And I was like, what in the world am I going to do with this container? I kind of like it, but it's in a way. Well, lo and behold, I could put all my stuff in here. So I have little notepads in here. I have all of my highlighters, my glue stick. I even put my pencil sharpener in here in a plastic bag so that when they sharpen their pencil, all of the shavings just go in the bag. And then I can just take the pencil sharpener out and dump the bag. I even have a calculator just in case, and some glue, and also glue sticks. So whatever you can utilize in your home, makes it perfect. So when they get organized in the morning, I just slap this great big old tray right there. You got everything you needed. There's no need for you getting up unless you need to use the bathroom or you're coming to me. Also, I have an old lunchbox, the old hard ones back in the day. So the top broke off, but one day all the crayons were all over the house and I was just sick of it. So I just took all of the crayons and dumped them in here. So now you have one location for crayons. Or, you know, you have your standard pencil box holder. One that you can get from Walmart for 99 cents or so. So there's different ways to be creative and yet stay organized. But also remain organized. That's the key. The organized parent has the organized child and is the prepared parent. So here's just some items that you may need. Pencil sharpen, 3, I would say, because if one breaks, another breaks, you have a backup. Erasers. I have one child that loves to erase. So we don't use the pencil erasers that much. We just have extra erasers. No excuses. Scissors, colored markers, pencils, crayons, highlighter. And all of these items should be in one location. So they shouldn't have to fumble through the house. When we set them up in the morning, we set up a notebook paper, some folders if they need it, and they have their little coffee mug or their tissue box or their tray or whatever it is of all of the essential items that they need to start their day. And maybe even some plain paper, some notebook paper. Not sure if they'll be using journals as much anymore because the day is not extended. So we're not sure about that. But just in case, have it there. You never know. And again, just everything in one location, wherever they learn, not one location in the house, one location preferably where they learn. And even the parent and the teacher's assistant should know what subject or task they will begin with first, and that should be no more than an arm's reach from them or from us, so that we don't get distracted by continuing to get up. Oh, I gotta go get this. Oh, I gotta get that. No, all materials for that day, because we don't want to just set everything out for the whole week in front of them, but whatever they are working on for that day should be in front of them as they begin their exciting day of learning. Again, this is just keeping everything simplified and keeping them focused and on task, because if everything is all over the place, now they have to learn on screen again with a new teacher and new peers, and we're still doing this at home learning, this at home school. This is a lot, but whatever we can do to be creative and consistent and keep everything normal, that's what we got to do. Trust me, we have no idea what we are in for when school begins in 2 weeks. And so this was another reason why I'm trying to do this now. And I'm also recording it so that I can allow you to revisit it when you have time. Because 2 weeks is not a lot of time. And we got to prepare our children now for their success. We got to prepare them now to sit in front of the screen and learn and learn and learn. Again, 2021, this is only August. 2021, we'll still be in this. Imagine how they feel. They've been learning abruptly removed from their school, their natural learning environment. They've been learning this way since March. So when January hits, I mean, for us, that's 10 months. For them, that's just about an entire year for them already. Now, God forbid if we get to June and we're still in this predicament. They've gone an entire grade, an entire school year of learning this way. That's a lot. So the successful child has a parent that is well organized and involved in their learning. This parent, even while at home, continues to ask questions like, how was your day? What did you do? What did you learn? And more importantly now than ever, were all your friends in class? Okay? So keep everything normal. Remain concerned. Remain engaged in your child's learning. Keep the conversation going, because we're in the house together. They may feel like it's really nothing to talk about because you see me every day, all day, but there's always something to talk about. Always. And when school starts, these are the essential questions that they need to keep the engagement in school and to keep the learning going and to keep the dialogue with parent and child. We don't want that communication to break down. Just because you're in the house doesn't mean we're having a conversation. Just because you're in the house and I say hi and bye, you want something to eat, like that's not a conversation. We want to create conversation and we want to stay connected with our children. It's all about connection. And in the house, if you become even more connected, that serves the parent and the child much better when we come out of the pandemic, because now we've laid a foundation of communication. We've laid a foundation of conversation, so it won't be so foreign. So now we can build upon that when they go into the next grade. And we just continue that conversation, and that relationship grows and becomes all the more stronger. So there, while it may be taxing on us mentally and even sometimes physically, there are some benefits to us being around each other. We just have to kind of navigate our way through it, just as if we have to navigate our child through this process. We got to navigate our way through this process and still be a parent, and how to create that bond that is even more stronger than what it was. Because we can have that. You can either grow together or you can grow apart. And that's going to happen. You will have families that will grow together because they kept the dialogue going. They continue to have conversation. You will have families that grow apart where nothing was being said, nothing was being spoken. Everyone was in their own world, in their own rooms, doing their own thing in the same house. And I don't want that for any of our kids. I don't want that for any of my families. I want everyone to grow together. Keep everything normal. Converse with your child just as you would as if you had physically picked them up from school. I cannot say that enough. Waking your child up in peace and love and joy is going to set the atmosphere and establish the day for them. If you wake them up with a holler and a scream, something negative, it will be very difficult for them to process and learn through that behavior, because now they don't want to be there. They don't want to be in the house. Now they don't want to be in the house. Now they have to try to learn through that, being mistreated, feeling like your feelings are hurt. They got to now push through. They already have to do it when they left school. Imagine what it would be like when you're still in that same environment and you got to now learn. And then you got to get up and all you want to do is go to your room. Well, why do I want to have a conversation with you now? I didn't do it. Why would you wake me up that way? So now we're not having a conversation. So guess what happens? We wake them up when we get ready, or they wake themselves up when they get ready, and we're not having any conversation. All of these things will work against us, and it will only hurt the child. It won't hurt us. It will hurt our relationship with our child, but it will do more damage to them. And when they come back to school, it'll be a lot for them, for the teacher, for the school psychologist, for the school counselor. We don't want to set our children up like that. So now with the 2 weeks that we have, we are proactively planning. We have time to plan. We can brainstorm. We can prepare. We can plan. And then we can execute. That was the purpose for conducting this Preparing Parents for Pandemic Learning Discussion Group now. brainstorm, prepare, plan, and execute. We have 2 weeks to do this. Our kids go back to school 3 Mondays from now, the 31st, and we can get this done. So now we have time to create those necessary workstations, work locations for our child to stimulate their brains and promote that growth in academics, as well as that social emotional learning and that development. We have the time to create that space for them, and they can even contribute if they want to. Maybe they might want not a whole lot of distraction, but maybe they might want a dinosaur, just something to look at. Or maybe they might want a unicorn on the wall, just something to look at. Definitely, again, no mirrors, because who wouldn't sit in front of the mirror all day and just look at themselves and somebody's talking to you and you drifted way off side left and not even paying attention. So nothing that would be too distracting, but just a little something that they can add their own touch to their learning area. And also let us remember that these are our little people, because these babies will be adults. These are our future leaders of